of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Hump Day. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Big show lineup for you today. Welcome everyone on the Really American Network. Of course, very new on that network. We're very proud to be a part of what they are doing. I'm also now officially part of the Un-F America tour. Yes, you'll be seeing me across the country with people like Destiny and Robbie Roadsteamer and others. So very proud to make that announcement. We have some more big announcements when it comes to this show coming up in the very near future, but it's an ever so growing show. We just passed 130,000 subscribers, and we appreciate you guys being here. There's a lot to get to. I don't even know where to begin with this Tulsi Gabbard, Caroline Leavitt presser. I mean, it was so off the rails crazy. It's so insane. We're going to have Parker Pinnell, also known as Parker Get a Job. He's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes, and we're going to be chatting with him. And Parker's also agreed to take phone calls today. So this is a guy that I've been following on social media for a very long time. And, you know, I think of him very similar to the people at Midas Touch, like an Adam Mockler, who just did CNN the other day, and I thought he did a fantastic job. We need more people like the Adam Mocklers of the world. We need more people like the Parkers of the world. We need more younger people that speak truth to power, that do not put up with any BS. I've said that for years. I say that again. It's time that we stop being nice and we fight back. So I really appreciated my time with Destiny actually yesterday. That was a fun interview. I've always wanted to talk to him for a long time. Of course, we have Ron Filipkowski on the show every single week. Ryan Shedd, who is another huge left-wing podcaster, who has a new show that's going to be starting up soon. He's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. So, you know, we have some of the biggest names out there, and always appreciate it when they take the time to join me. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this press conference because it just ended. And Tulsi Gabbard was obviously not in Donald Trump's good graces. We know that. Several months ago, Tulsi Gabbard testified under oath that there was no evidence that Iran was furthering their nuclear capabilities. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump said she doesn't know what she's talking about and she's wrong. And Tulsi Gabbard wasn't invited to any of the latest press conferences. She wasn't invited to any of the meetings where the press could offer to ask her questions. She wasn't making any public comments in front of the cameras. So we know that Tulsi Gabbard was not in Donald Trump's good graces. So what are they trying to do? They're going back to Obamagate to try to hide themselves, literally hide themselves from having to talk about the Epstein files. That's exactly what they're doing. This is a distraction. And by the way, when it comes to Obamagate, let me just speak some facts to you. There is no Obamagate. First of all, why didn't Donald Trump declassify these documents in his first term? I think that's a very fair question to ask. We know that Russia meddled in the elections. By the way, Marco Rubio admitted that. And we also know that there were 13 Russians that got a grand jury indictment. So is that all fake news? We know that Russia interfered in the elections. We know who they wanted to win in that presidential election. It is not fake news. There is no Obamagate. And even hypothetically speaking, if Barack Obama committed any crimes, and by the way, there's no evidence that he committed any crimes, but even if there was, he would have immunity. The Supreme Court ruled it. And then when Tulsi Gabbard was asked about that today in this press conference, she had no answers. Refer to Pam Bondi, refer to Pam Bondi, refer to Pam Bondi. They don't have any answers. So this entire press conference earlier today was about deflection. They don't want to talk about the Epstein files. They want this story to go away, which it will not. It will not go away. And what is even more troubling here is that they're covering for pedophilia. Let's call it for what it is, ladies and gentlemen. They are covering for the fact that Donald Trump is in these Epstein files. So to talk about this and a lot of other topics today, he's also going to be taking some phone calls. I've been wanting to get this guy in for a long time. I met him in Las Vegas, in June of last year when he was here for a Trump rally. And I really enjoy his stuff. And I know a lot of the fans of my show love his stuff as well. He's known as Parker. Parker, get a job. And he is one of the biggest TikTok influencers out there. And of course, he's on the right side of history. Parker, I am so glad to have you on the show, my man. How are you?
I'm so glad to be on. How are you? I'm doing great today. Fantastic. Glad to be on. Hopefully everyone's having a good day so far.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, my man. I don't even know. Did you even have a chance to watch that press conference with Tulsi Gabbard and Caroline Levitt? Because I wanted to get your thoughts on that because it was so ridiculous.
No, I've been busy all morning, so I'd love to hear what's been going on there. Well,
let me get your thoughts on this to start, if that's okay. And I want to ask you, because it appears to me that this is a deflection, that Tulsi Gabbard is not in good, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess she's not in good graces with Donald Trump, right? And it appears to me that they're spreading this Obamagate nonsense to try to deflect from the Epstein files, which I believe Donald Trump is all over. And we know that there is no Obamagate. We know that Russia did interfere in the elections. We know that 13 Russians were indicted by a grand jury. Even Marco Rubio admitted that. So I think this is deflection. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I think I totally agree with that analysis. I think that Tulsi Gabbard was sent off to do Trump's dirty work to distract away from the Epstein files, because realistically, we can't explain this type of response if that is true. If Donald Trump is not on the Epstein files, he clearly would have dropped it by now. So it's seemingly that he's all over. I've also heard plenty of reports of like him telling agencies within the federal government to look for different mentions of Donald Trump within the Epstein files to try to remove those. So that's also interesting to look at as well, along with the fact that if it's true, if it actually is a hoax, a Democratic hoax, that wouldn't implicate any Democrats. Therefore, Democrats would have 100% released it. So this idea that like, oh, Democrats aren't releasing it because it is the case that it would indict them, right, would be all wrong if it's a hoax or a scam. So that's clearly a cover up on his app.
Parker, I agree with you. You debate probably more MAGA supporters than anybody that I know. And what is the excuse that you get from them? Because I would imagine you get into a lot of debates about this very topic. As you know, there's a lot of MAGA people that are very upset at Donald Trump. They want the files to be released. What is the excuse you get from your typical MAGA supporter that will call into your show?
I think MAGA's really divided on this issue. And this is one of the first times where I've ever seen MAGA like this. You know, I debate people and I've seen the narratives. They all come at once and they almost have like an entire structure of all of them running like the same arguments. Like back when it was Biden and running for office, it was practically everyone that would come up. It was cognitive decline. But really, in terms of the Epstein files, I've seen a vast array of different things. Some people are still defending him, calling it a hoax. Others are saying, oh, both sides are on it. Therefore, like, it just doesn't matter which side I support. Still going to support Trump regardless. Some people just don't care. They seriously are like, oh, if he's on the Epstein files, I don't give a fuck. So there's a lot of different array of views when it relates to Trump supporters. I don't think that they're very much on a common approach. And I have noticed there are less Trump supporters, right, since we've heard specifically all of this about the Epstein files, them not releasing it. And there's a huge breakoff. I think the main breakoff is of the far right from the Republican Party. I think that center right Republicans are still like in line with saying like, oh, even if he's on the files, it's probably just him on the airplane. And he wasn't actually involved in any of like the child sex trafficking or anything like that, even though he was like best buds with Epstein for like 15 years, right? And said that Epstein's a terrific guy and he likes beautiful women as much as he does. Many of them on the younger side, right? So like, I think it's very obvious at this point, you should be able to put two and two together, but their cult-like support literally will not allow them to see outside of that, to be like, oh, he could be implicated in any type of way. Even if he says he'll date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, like he can get away with anything. He could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they wouldn't care.
That's true. And isn't it interesting, Parker, that so many people on the far right were calling Democrats the pedophiles. They were calling Joe Biden the pedophile who sniffs children, Hollywood elitists and, pedophile rings and conspiracy theories. And meanwhile, now we have the guy who at one point was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, as you eloquently pointed out, seen with him at parties, at his wedding, everywhere, on his flight log 6 times. In fact, we know that Epstein flew on Donald Trump's private jet. But yet some in the MAGA world are saying, hey, there's nothing to see here. Even somebody like Mike Johnson, who has been talking about child trafficking forever. And by the way, I'm on his side. If there's anybody out there that's involved in child trafficking, I want them to go to jail, held to the highest extent of the law. And now it appears to me that he and many others are covering up for Donald Trump, knowing what's in those files.
Yeah, it's actually kind of insane, right? That like Trump supporters were so big about like, Democrats are really scared to get Trump in office because he's going to do something about the Epstein files. Can you imagine if it was the case that like this was true about a Democrat, about Joe Biden, about Bill Clinton? That would have been literally the talk of the century for MAGA supporters. They would have said that this is implicating them of being on the island and everything. But because it's specifically Donald Trump, there's so much plausible deniability on their behalf that they just seemingly don't accept any of this information, which honestly, I'm going to be totally honest. I expected this because it is the case that they did so with plenty of the other horrible, disgusting behavior of Donald Trump's. Now, a lot of people are going to open up to it and be like, okay, wow, this is crazy. I'm not going to support him anymore. But there's going to be a lot of people out there, even people like, Charlie Kirk and Alex Jones, that are just going to end up bending the knee again, because it is the case that they were the ones making this big deal about, the pedophile sex ring that exists that specifically they're using in order to like literally blackmail people. You have Mossad behind it and everything. That's what Alex Jones was saying for like literally the past 20 fucking years. And now apparently he's just going to believe Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's just like unbelievable to me.
I agree with you. Unfortunately, Parker, I have to put a prerequisite in here. Unfortunately, we're on the radio, so we can't swear. I wish we could.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for letting me know.
You're good. You're good. I appreciate that. By the way, I wish I could, I'm very envious of you because there's a lot of other words I would like to use to describe some of these Trump supporters that I can't say on the radio. If you're just joining us, Parker, get a job. One of the biggest anti-MAGA influencers, I would say, on social media. We're so glad he's here. There's so many different topics I want to get to with you in this short period of time, but I guess in general, I want to ask you this. I think we all knew that this would be horrible if Trump won in November, but I'm not sure I thought it would be this bad. I want to get your thoughts on this, just as far as immigration and people not getting due process, these tariffs that he's done. The war in Ukraine is worse off now than it was on day one. We got into, in my opinion, an ill-advised war with Iran. The economy is struggling. We're probably headed towards a recession. There's a lot of things I named there, but did you think, Parker, that it was going to be this bad and chaotic?
I knew it was going to be horrible, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. And I really do apologize to any of the listeners. I really apologize. I'm used to doing that on my stream.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
I'm so sorry to any of the listeners.
That's
but
okay.
Yes, I do think that in some ways it was going to be this bad. In some ways, I actually expected it could have been worse. And in some ways, it's even worse than I would have ever expected. Like, for example, in terms of tariffs, I actually expected them probably to have some sort of implementation of tariffs that was going to be long run, which was going to be incredibly negatively impactful to the economy. And I actually expected like us going towards a recession, which was a coming indicator, but we might actually revert back to like what we were. We just weren't going to get as much growth as we were otherwise, because for multiple quarters we had multiple percentage points growth in real GDP every single quarter. But then in quarter one 2025 we saw a decline by 0.3%. Same thing with real median wages. So we saw our economy essentially stagnate because of the imposition of the tariffs, and then even with the pause right after. But still, it didn't carry over as much, and we're likely to see growth coming in the next quarters and whatnot, because it is the case that he didn't continue the same level of tariffs that he was advocating for, especially on Liberation Day, because that was the largest tax increase, right, in the U.S. history, specifically for referencing tariffs. But if for some reason Trump and MAGA never want to talk about that, it's pretty interesting.
True. Parker, what scares you the most about the next 3.5 years? We're forced, with Donald Trump being the leader of the free world. I'm just wondering, there's a lot of different topics here that I'm sure concern you, but what bothers you? What worries you the most?
I think what worries me the most is what's going to happen coming near the end of the administration and how Trump's leaving power. Like, is he going to leave power? Is he going to try and instill his cronies into office? What is he specifically going to do to our democracy, to our system, right, when he's leaving? Right? I think that's an incredibly important thing to address. And I also wanted to talk about like the fact that he's violating of due process rights. I think this is just showing of the fact that if he's willing to violate due process rights, specifically of undocumented immigrants, that could likely apply to people who are in this country legally. He's all even talked about, denaturalizing people, right? This likely I will see, we might see to a worse degree if they win in 2026. So that's why we need to get out there and we need to vote, because if they win, they will take a mile, even more than what they already have.
That's a really good point. Parker, you have so many videos that have gone viral, but I do want to specifically talk with you about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, you have this for lack of a better term, run-in with Charlie Kirk, where you really only have 60 to 90 seconds. And clearly you can see he does not want a piece of you. He does not want to debate you. He does not want to talk to you. He doesn't really want anything to do with you. He wants to debate a bunch of these 18 and 19-year-old liberals on college campuses that obviously don't have the intellect, or with all due respect to them, or the knowledge that you have. Can you talk to me about that experience and why you think that the Charlie Kirks of the world just want nothing to do with Parker?
I think it's because I give him a hard time and I don't let him spread his propagandistic message, right, as easily as, say, other people do. Now, granted, when it comes to like the Jubilee scenario, right, there's only like a few minutes. A lot more interruptions like have to occur in order for me to be able to get my point out there and me to be able to hold him accountable on certain points. I mean, he was just lying and making ridiculous points. Like, we had the lowest point of carbon emissions in human history. You know, at that point, I feel like almost like an obligation to cut someone off in that circumstance because it's so wildly false. But when it comes to like the Jubilee format, right, I really wish that I could have had a longer form format to be able to debate him, because when I caught him off guard at CSUN, California State University, Northridge, I only got like a few minutes there and then he kicked me out.
I saw that.
It's seemingly that he won't debate me in any type of long form setting, because it is the case that he'll have to go really deep into these issues. We'll have to talk about religion. We'll have to talk about how he influences that in terms of his political beliefs, and then go deep in terms of his particular economic views, because the economic views of Donald Trump are extremely weak. And he knows that I have an econ degree. He was even complaining about it on the George Janko podcast about like how he was expecting meandering kids after a college class. But then like when I came and I was like, you know, I have a degree in economics, you know, and I was actually like knowing what I'm talking about, he was caught off guard. But he said I was like, I had a master's or something. I was literally, at the time in which we recorded that, I was like a few months graduated from college with a bachelor's at that point. So I had just graduated. I was a college kid. It just seemingly he just doesn't want to debate smart, educated, and in tuned with college kids that can debate him on every single point that he brings up and call him out for his bull crap.
And this is the same guy, correct me if I'm wrong, who has a high school diploma, who dropped out of community college, and he's trying to attack you for your education, which I find utterly ridiculous. You know, I wanted to ask you this because I've always seen you as a genuine person. I don't believe you say anything on your show, and you have a ton of content, right? You have like 6 hours a day of content, which is an enormous amount of content. I don't feel like you say anything to get ratings or to make money. You're genuine with your opinions. And I feel like a guy like a Charlie Kirk or a Candace Owens or a Matt Walsh, these types of people, a Jack Posobiec, who I debate on Piers Morgan all the time, I feel like they're not genuine at all. I don't feel like they believe the things they say. I believe they're just taking their paycheck and making money. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you really believe that the Candace Owens of the world and the Jack Posobiecs of the world and Charlie Kirks actually believe the things they say on a regular basis?
When it comes to people like Charlie Kirk, I actually really don't believe that he like really believes fully what he says in all circumstances, but I would say he believes a lot of what he says. It's within certain thresholds. So they obviously can, you know, say what they want, believe what they want, but then they have influences from other people to say specific things because they're a part of like the quote unquote MAGA movement. That's why Charlie Kirk originally was saying stuff about like, oh, we need to drop the Epstein files, and then caved to Trump and, you know, like sort of that type of response. He probably got a call, probably got some sort of response from the Trump team, right, in order to be able to talk that a certain way about the Epstein files to try to get them to go away. So a lot of them, I would say that they're just political propagandists. They do it for a check. They're doing whatever is going to be best for their party in their own eyes, which actually is antithetical to like his Christian beliefs, for example. But I don't even know how much he really holds to that, or if it's just specifically like, you know, political game, just like with Donald Trump.
You know, you're at a point now where wherever you go, you're going to be recognized. And I'm wondering, do you ever worry about your safety? Like when you go to a political rally, when you speak to MAGA supporters? Because I got to be honest with you, these days when I go to these events, I get a little worried. I mean, have you ever been in a situation like that before? And do you worry about that?
So yes, like I actually worry a lot about like my girlfriend and like people in my life, my family. Being like targeted by people on the internet that more than I would care about like me specifically. But even then, like, for example, when I go to like protests or I go to rallies and stuff, I'm not going to be streaming on the internet. You know, I see a lot of other streamers do that, but honestly, I don't think that would be like safe to do, especially in such a big city with all of the people that dislike me on the internet. So yeah, I definitely am concerned about that and worried about that. And I always try to show up to things unannounced so that it is the case that people don't know where I'm going to be.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm wondering how you do this. And what I mean by that is, you know, if I have like 2 or 3 MAGA callers in a row, which happens, my brain wants to explode. And people say, Brian, you're so patient. Well, I'm really not. You're doing this 6 hours a day and prominently, right? You're debating MAGA people. I'm wondering mentally, how you're able to do it day in and day out with these same MAGA supporters. And I'm just going to be honest, so many of them extremely ill-informed and uneducated. How do you have the patience, I guess, to do what you do every day?
I really love what I do, that I can affect the world in a positive way. I really believe in what I'm doing, and I think that I'm doing something that is good. And I think it comes from, like, I mean, I did this before I had any viewers. Like, I literally would go on Omegle and debate people randomly on the internet because I'm genuinely interested in these types of topics. I wanted to learn myself. And I also, like, I want to be able to take that information, that genuine approach, and I want to be able to show that to other people. I want to, like, be a good role model for people, you know, and I think that that shows, like, really good for society. I think it's really good for men to especially have, like, good and positive role models within their communities, especially younger men. So, like, I think that those things are all really important. So I really, really, really believe in what I do. And you know, it's really tough sometimes, you know, like, especially, like, you know, like, my dog passed away just recently.
Sorry to hear that.
It was suffering in a really bad circumstance, and we knew that this was likely to come. And, you know, people will come up and they'll say horrible things about my dog, and they'll try to attack me for things like that. So that stuff, I think, is what hits me, and, you know, like, hits to the core the most, I would say. I've become very accustomed to dealing with MAGA callers and people who are having insane views. And I've really been trying to work on my patience in the long run. I've been taking from people like Alex O'Connor on, you know, trying to be more patient. But, you know, I obviously have my circumstances and times where I'm not as patient as I should be. But obviously, like, you know, there are, you know, insane people that I talk to on a daily basis. So that's expected.
I think I can relate to that too, Parker. I think you and I are similar when it comes to that. Sometimes I lose my patience with them as well. I'm just wondering, at your age, with what you've accomplished and how successful you are on social media and the huge following you have, like, if somebody came up to you when you were like 16 or 17 years old and said, you're going to be one of the most prominent voices on the left, because you are, and you would have the huge following that you have, what would you have said to yourself? Would you have said, I expected this? Or, like, if somebody told you this 6 or 7 years ago, what would you have said?
I definitely wouldn't have expected, especially because at that time I was a Trump supporter. So I was a Trump supporter in high school. So I definitely wouldn't have expected to have alternative beliefs than I had at that specific time. Although at that time I still would say I was totally open-minded and genuine. And I do think that like, I would never have expected this. You know, when I was a kid, I made, you know, Call of Duty videos and stuff like that, you know, because I just genuinely liked making content. And, you know, like, when I think I streamed one time and there was like 90 people in my stream, and I was freaking out because I was doing like open lobbies on a Call of Duty game or something like that. And I thought it was so cool, you know, just other people being interested in the same stuff I am. And I would have never expected to genuinely have so many thousands of people engaging with my content on a daily basis. I didn't think I was that interesting. I didn't think people wanted to hear from me as much as that. And also, I didn't believe in myself as much as I should have. And I think that came from me sort of developing expectations around doing this more often. I have a lot of social anxiety. It's really hard for me to get into spaces like this and to, like, you get out of my comfort zone. So it took me a while to be able to do that. And, you know, I'm really happy with myself with how far I've come, and I'm really glad with that. So I think that if I was able to see where I am today, I would be happy in myself, even though back then I had differing opinions.
Yeah, you should be. I'm curious because this is starting to happen to me more. And obviously, I'm not at the level that you're at with your following. But I mean, places I go to now, concerts and public events, people start to come up to me. And again, I have a fraction of the following that you have. I'm wondering, going back to the first few times where people recognized you and maybe they asked you for a selfie or a picture, how did you handle that? Was that weird for you? And how have you adjusted to that?
So I've definitely adjusted to it because I've become more comfortable with it happening relatively commonly. But like, prior, when it first happened, I just thought I think it's so cool. Like, every single time I love talking to people, seeing them. Like, I love that people are enjoying with the content and stuff like that. And also, it's like, it's not like I get recognized so much where it's like, I can't, like, you know, get to daily things and stuff like that. Like, if it was like a Mr. Beast level of getting it in like a, you know, attention every single day where you can't do stuff, then it could probably possibly be like a, you know, negative impact in your life. But I think it's been incredibly positive. People have come up to been incredibly nice. Okay, wait, can you repeat some of the question? I think I only got part of it, and I kind of lost when I was answering.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just saying, like, do you remember, like, the first time somebody recognized you and asked you for a selfie or something? Like, how did that make you feel? Was it weird? What was that like, that first experience when you were first starting to get recognized, like, in public?
Yeah, so like I said, I have lots of social anxiety, so it was definitely like a, whoa, someone just like, oh my, someone just like, did someone just actually just recognize me? Like, what? that was crazy. Like, it really caught me off guard. So I want to say that happened. It caught me off guard for like definitely like the like first 10 people that first recognized me because I was not used to it. I thought it was so cool. I sat and talked to them for a long time, asked them like where they found me from, like what interests them in my content, things like that. I just thought it was so cool. And I had like so many questions. And I think that my wantingness to ask them questions and like knowing that they already knew who I was, like made me have more expectations for how like the engagement would go, where I was like not as anxious about it as I typically would be, if that makes sense.
It's amazing to me that you have a little bit of social anxiety, like you said, but yet you're so good with dealing with people that you disagree with on a daily basis. I find that so interesting, right? And that's extremely interesting. It was a little awkward for me as well. I'll be honest with you, but that I think that's super cool. So Parker has agreed to take some phone calls, and this might be a little bit different than Parker than what you're used to, because you're constantly debating people that disagree with you. And I would imagine some people that really don't like you. A lot of my listeners are huge fans of yours. So what I want to do is I want to open up the phone lines as long as everybody's respectful, which I'm sure they will be, to be able to ask Parker some questions. Number to call 702-221-7283. And again, that number, here's your opportunity to speak to Parker directly. He's nice enough to be sticking around for a little bit and take some phone calls. 702-221-7283. So Parker, before we get to the calls, I always like to ask certain people this question. I actually asked Destiny this question yesterday. I want to ask you the same question. In a PG-13 way, like if you had the opportunity to speak to Donald Trump right now, you would have the opportunity to sit in a room with him with no cameras, nobody else around, and you just had the chance to say whatever you want to him. You could ask him whatever you want. What would you say to Donald Trump right now?
I think I would ask him about the Epstein files. Like if I could get like an actual response, like, or is it like I expect any type of response that he would typically give to like the public?
That's interesting. Yeah, I get a lot of different responses from a lot of different people, but that would certainly be a question that I would absolutely like to ask him. And I would say, do you really believe that you won the 2020 election? Because Parker, I think he knows he lost.
Yeah, or I would ask him like if I'm getting like a genuine response, I might ask him like, do you actually support the violence on January 6th, or what are the reasons why you are pardoning them? Like, was that specifically your determination, or was that the determination of someone else? Because realistically speaking, all right, they tried to play off this narrative that, oh, I was just wanting it to be peaceful. But then you can't say you just want it to be peaceful and then pardon and condone, right, the violent rioters, right? After they literally did they talk so much about how there were violent riots happening relating to like the BLM protests and stuff like that. But then immediately when it relates to their political violence, they condone it and they pardon it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. They're hostages and they're patriots if you beat a cop on January 6th. But if you key a Tesla, lock them up in jail and throw the key away. It really is absurd. All right, Parker, our phone lines are jam-packed. I'm not surprised. There's a lot of people that want to talk to you. And thank you for doing this, by the way. Let's start off with Efren. Efren is first. Hey, Efren, you're on with Parker. Go right ahead.
Hi.
Hello, what's up?
I don't know if you remember me. It was like a whole year ago this conversation happened. We had run the vegan argument, named the trait, and a conservative bit the bullet and said he would be okay with unaliving people that were mentally disabled. And we had canceled him over that. But I believe recently, in your response to like what separates us between like animals and humans, you had said, I provide the conjunction of human with past or present subjective experience. I value animals, but it's very distinct from the value I place on human beings, because human beings are species that meet a particular threshold of rationality, which sounds similar to the answer the other person gave. So like, what is that threshold of rationality that humans are meeting?
Yeah, so you're referencing older millennial who's like a MAGA grifter who said it's okay to throw mentally disabled people off a mountain. So like I just want to clarify, like when I'm saying that the species is granted, when I'm speaking into it, it like reduces the volume on my mix amp. So like what you're talking about is the meeting a particular threshold of rationality. It means that a certain percentage of our species meets the condition for rationality. Therefore, we'd grant every sentient member of the species value, because it is the case that it's a conjunction of traits. So, I mean, I'm not saying that like other sentient beings don't have any moral value. I actually place a hell of a lot of value on other sentient beings. I'm very open to vegan ethics, and especially, but like my view is something a vegan can actually accept themselves, right? Like just because it is the case that you're vegan doesn't mean that you believe that humans have the same level of value as every other sentient being. Like you can still see a distinction in value amongst humans and non-human sentient beings, but then also say that you're vegan.
See, this is why Parker's IQ is probably 4 times higher than mine. But as long as I'm smarter than Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's really all that matters. Thank you for the call, Efren. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Shelly. Shelly is next up on PTL. Hey, Shelly, you're on with Parker. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Parker. I watch you as long as I can every day because I'm on the East Coast in, guess what state? West Virginia. But no, you, Brian, Dean, and the Midas Touch is what I watch every day. And you are so smart. I'm 57, and I don't have that many brain cells, honey.
I'm losing them every day because of the MAGA supporters I debate.
What, honey?
I said I'm losing them every day because of all the MAGA supporters I debate.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Well, thank you, Shelly. I concur with you, Shelly. Parker's awesome, and we appreciate you calling in. And maybe this is a nice change for you, Parker. Once in a while, it's nice to get some compliments with all these MAGA idiots that you have to speak with every day. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTL. Hey, Brett, you're on with Parker. Go right ahead.
Hey, what's up, fellas? It's pretty wild to talk to both of you. It's like my world's colliding here because I watch Parker every day, and I just wanted to call in and say, like, I'm so happy that Parker and Dean do the show that they do because you know, I think the younger generation gets a really bad rap, and I think that, you know, that those guys blow away the stereotypes. And yeah, I'm 54 years old, and you know, it's a very you know, trying time for our political climate, and these guys do such a great job. And I just want to say I'm so proud that you guys do what you do. And Brian, I always love your show, and I just wanted to say continue to cook these guys, and
thank you.
I love the show. And that's about it.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Those are really nice comments. By the way, don't be afraid to ask Parker a question. He'll answer just about anything. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next on PTL. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking the call. Hey, Parker, I watch your show. I'm a good listener. So I have a good question for you guys. First thing, I want to thank you guys for having all these special guests on your show. All right. So far, so good. Right. And, you know, the more that you guys, like, maybe you'll have, who knows, Brian on your show, Parker, and whatnot, and so forth. You know, the stronger, the more guests that you have on each other's show, the more the Republicans get really pissed off, you know, when they see that, because that means that they're scared of the midterms when you see all these guests coming on each other's show like that. And they're really pissed off when they see that. But I have a good question for Parker, though.
Okay, go ahead.
A good question, Parker. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask
Parker.
Yep.
Parker, you have another person that you actually know, right? A friend of yours that's on the show, right?
Do you mean Dean? Do you mean Dean?
Dean. I saw Dean. How's he doing? Because his heart fluttered. Remember, he was on the air.
Mm-hmm.
How's he doing?
He's been doing a lot better since then.
Heart.
Yeah, he's actually been in LA here recently, so I got to see him here recently. He's been a lot better since that happened. But yeah, he on live before almost had a heart attack. He had a flutter relating to his heart, and he had to get that checked out. That's definitely, you know, something to be worried about and to be concerned about. You know, it's actually not common very much for, you know, especially for men his age to have that type of response, at least to my understanding. So definitely something to, like, you know, be concerned about and to keep looking through. And always, like, on standby. Like, my parents are both medical professionals. I can always message them and whatnot. And he always has a direct contact to them as well. And also, you know, medical professionals he knows as well.
Glad he's doing better. Yeah, I did hear about that as well. Thank you for the call, my friend. All these compliments are making me very uncomfortable. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Is Dave next or no? We just had Dave. Let's go to Peter. Peter is next on PTL. Hey, Peter, you're on with Parker. Go right ahead.
Yo, hey, Brian. Hey, Parker.
Hey.
What's up?
Hey, first of all, Parker, we need a shirt that says "It is the case." Putting it out there right now.
Yeah, if you don't know, that's something I say on my live all the time. And I've been limiting how much I've been saying it recently. I say it is the case all the time, like when describing things.
That's kind of like
we need a hat or a shirt with that saying.
that's kind of like me. I call people buffoons all the time, so I made a shirt on my website. Don't be a right-wing buffoon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to say real quick. I'm 33. I'm a manager in the automotive industry, service manager. I take pride in like being able to affect some of my team members because I do manage and work with multiple generations, and that's just like 15, 16 people. I just want to know, like, at your age, how often, if any, like, do you like just take a step back, take a moment, and kind of think about the influence that you have over so many various, or so many different generations, different age groups, different demographics, especially the ones where you're like literally altering a whole perspective of like the MAGAs and the people that disagree with you. Like that's a huge impact. And especially, like I said, at 23, 22, I wasn't thinking about, any kind of influence that I had on anybody at that age. So how often do you, if at any point?
I all the time. I almost like, I want to say it's almost to an obsessive degree that I constantly am thinking about like the influence that I have over people and how best I could influence people in a positive direction all the time. And, that's an aspect of my own perfectionism that I've had to address, and, things that I'm deconstructing myself in terms of like, going to therapy for, which is actually what I'm doing right after this. Right. I think it's incredibly good for men to go to therapy. It's something that, I wasn't, accustomed to wanting to do before. I thought I didn't need. But due to, things that were happening in my life, and the level of stress that I was undergoing, especially even relating to like, what I'm doing on the internet, I thought it was really important to be able to have that type of outlet for myself. So I want to say all the time, I'm constantly thinking about how I'm influencing people, and especially being grateful for like the privilege that I have to be able to be in such a position, to be able to influence so many people in a positive direction. I seriously am incredibly grateful every single day. I think about it all the time. And I just like, I genuinely, I can't even believe everything that's happened in my life. It's really surreal.
Yeah, and you deserve it. I have to share this breaking news with you, Parker, before we get back to the phone calls, because this is big. The Wall Street Journal is now reporting that the Department of Justice told Donald Trump back in May that his name is in the Epstein files. What's your reaction to that?
I want to say that I'm completely shocked. I'm shocked I'm more shocked that the information is coming out right now. I'm not as shocked that he's on that, because I would have expected he was telling people within the government to mark off all of these times where he's mentioned. He's also was best buds with Epstein for a really long time. I'm honestly not surprised, but this should be surprising for some of the Trump supporters that thought, no way, he's on it.
And according to senior administration officials, his name appeared multiple times, and Pam Bondi was aware. I'm sure everybody in the administration is aware of it. So I wanted to share that with everybody. That's breaking news. The Wall Street Journal reporting that Donald Trump was told back in May that he's in the Epstein files at least multiple times, according to the Wall Street Journal. And apparently whoever, Murdoch, who is running the Wall Street Journal, Parker, I would say that's probably pretty credible information, considering the fact that Donald Trump is already threatening all these lawsuits. All right, 702-221-7283. Hey, we got a call from the UK. Paul is calling from the UK and wants to speak with Parker. Hey, Paul, go right ahead.
Hi there, Parker. I listen to you and Dean a lot. Very interesting. I'm a mathematician, so I appreciate the way you approach these MAGA callers. I've got a point to make, and I've got a question, because I'm an older guy. The point to make is I've never heard you or Dean, or Brian for that matter, lose a debate with a MAGA. Which proves to me that when 10 years ago I realized that Donald Trump was a threat to the whole planet, that I was right. Because sometimes I doubt myself when I hear somebody, I wonder what the hell's going on in this planet. And I've never heard you lose a debate to one of these MAGAs. You always beat them on pure logic. Now, my second question is this. When I was a student, students tended to be idealistic. I felt it was a bit fake, so I didn't join in, but it was kind of an inclination between childhood and adulthood that you could still afford to have strong ideals without any type of responsibility attached to them. So students tended to be idealistic. The thing that kind of worries me, and incredibly interesting that you said that you're a Donald Trump supporter, by the way, which is really maybe why I wanted to call, is why do you get so many young people who support this pig of a man? Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. Thank you for the call, Paul. Yeah, what would you say to that, Parker?
I think it's the media landscape. It's also that young men right? Historically speaking, the communities that they've been engaging in have been extremely right-wing communities. I mean, like, I'm talking the gym bro community, I'm talking gaming community, all of those communities, right? The normie communities are like very right-wing coded, meaning that like there are right-wing elements as a basis of a lot of these communities, and left-wing individuals have not gone into these spaces with normies and have influenced to the same degree that right-wingers have. And that's why it is the case that we've seen such a shift, especially with young men going to the right, because we see young women are incredibly liberal. And I definitely see that divide, especially with men being significantly more conservative amongst the younger generation, because they feel like the information that they're getting is like, you know, so unique that like everyone else is wrong, that like everything's like run by the deep state. You know, they're buying a lot of the conspiracy bullshit that Donald Trump is perpetuating. And oftentimes it's because they identify a problem. They identify a real problem in plenty of circumstances, and then they utilize the identification of a real problem in order to be able to manufacture whatever solution they feel like, and then people just buy it. And then because there's no pushback within these normie communities from a left-wing perspective of these particular views, they're oftentimes just accepted as a baseline and become a norm amongst these communities.
Well said. Makes sense to me. All right. Parker's got about another 10 minutes max or so, and then we got to let him go here, and we appreciate his time. So let's get back to the calls. Let's go to Slipok. Brian Slipok is next up on PTL. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good. You're on with Parker. Go right ahead.
Hey, Parker.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm curious. Question I'm curious. I'd never heard anyone really talk about is with Trump's age, if he goes to bed one night and never wakes up, and J.D. Vance becomes our president, are we better off?
So there's a few conditions here to obviously look at. Obviously, I think that Donald Trump as a person is a worse person than J.D. Vance. Although I do think that in terms of the policy that they implement, it's relatively similar. So in terms of character, in terms of what it perpetuates in our society, I think a lot of the damage, especially related to Trump, has already been done within that respect. So doesn't necessarily get better if JD Vance in office? Maybe in some ways, but overwhelmingly it's still bad because of the policy he supports. He still supports a lot of the Donald Trump cronyism in terms of, he said he wouldn't have certified the 2020 election results that were legitimate, and he would have certified the false votes that Trump was trying to send. Which is a huge threat on our system. He's a huge believer in unitary executive theory. And, he specifically was the one telling Trump to fire everyone within the executive branch that does not hold to the Trump position, and to reinstate Trump people within those positions. And then if the Supreme Court says don't do this, to stand in front of the Supreme Court and essentially say, because they don't have an enforcement mechanism, that you're not going to listen to them.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I would say I certainly would never be comfortable wanting anyone to be the president who thinks their boss is the next American Adolf Hitler. That would be J.D. Vance. All right, let's go to Kathy. Kathy, you're on with Parker. Go right ahead.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Parker. I'm an older person. I've worked in the political system for a number of years being a volunteer, and I had a couple questions I wanted to ask you. First of all, what got you away from the MAGA train, so to speak? And after what you said about the younger voters getting more into the right-wing media bubble, what should Democratic strategists do to engage younger voters to try to get that from that misinformation from the right-wing bubble? What spaces should Democrats go into to speak with younger voters? Because this is a voting bloc that we constantly have issues of challenges with engaging with.
Mm-hmm. I think we need to meet young people at their level. And that means engaging with the things that they're interested in. So that means, like what I was saying before, like in terms of engaging with normie communities, engaging with the debate community. Like I think specifically what I do on TikTok in terms of engaging with the debate community, it's extraordinarily a younger audience than what we see on YouTube. YouTube is way older, which is obviously important to engage with older voters as well. But if we specifically in terms of younger voters, right, if we want to address them, we got to go to where they are. Where are they at? TikTok. Where are they at? Instagram. They're out in specifically certain social media platforms. So we need to be clear with where they are and to sort of go on that sort of level with them. Like, for example, like I'll give an example. My girlfriend watches a YouTuber called Slushy Noobs, right? They're like just a straight up normie community, not very politically oriented, but have some sort of element of it sometimes. But those are the types of communities we need to be going into and politically activating young people that are liberal leaning already, right? That just aren't out there voting. We need to be activating them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Go ahead. You were saying?
No, I was just saying that's one of the big reasons why Kamala lost. In my opinion, there were too many people that sat it out. Right, Parker?
Yeah, like a lot of young people sat out, and that I think that there does feel like a divide. Like it seems like people who are older aren't listening to young people, and from the young people perspective, they don't felt like they're listened to, and oftentimes that might be like why they feel like a disconnect and they don't feel involved in the political process. But also part of it's that we just need to get them involved in the political process by making it entertaining, right? By making it relevant to pop culture, right? Which are things that we're doing a really good job of, like, especially in the context of the social media space. And I think that like my platform does a really good job with as well.
Absolutely.
And it's something I want to perpetuate even more within other spaces. Because I realistically, I can't just do it myself, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need more people like you. There's no question about that. Ava is next up. Ava is next up on PTL. You're on with Parker. Go ahead, Ava.
Hi. Oh my God. I'm just gonna be so honest. I'm panicking. Me and my mom listened to you guys, and I just told her, I'm like, I'm gonna call in. I'm gonna see if I get in. And wow, I'm on. But I was wondering. So I am a minor. So how can I, like, help others around me realize, like, help me, I'm panicking. How do I help others realize, like, how can she get involved? How can I get involved?
Good question. First thing I would say, though, is stay away from Donald Trump. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Parker. I digress.
Yeah, that's one thing. Secondly, as it relates to this, I think that a good way to get involved into like politics is by talking within the context of your schools, right? Engaging within your classes. If you have a civics class, right? Talking to other people within the audience, like, or not audience, in the classroom, like when it is like the teacher asks questions, like bringing up certain things in that type of way. Engaging with the other friends to go out and protest in certain ways in which you guys are best at, right? It could be making, art. It could be, going on the internet and doing, say, comedy, and then having those different types of left-wing influences within that comedy. There's so many different things that you can do, that you can involve yourself in terms of like protesting, getting people to go vote electorally, that don't just mean debating people about politics on the internet. Like that's specifically like what I'm good at and what I am like want to do every single day. But for other people, right, it could be like they are specifically good when it comes to playing video games, right? And then they want to have a left-wing influence in the context of video games. Really important to have, again, people in those communities that have those particular views.
Yeah, well said. We only have a couple more quick minutes here. We'll try to squeeze in a few more calls. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you're on with Parker. Go right ahead.
Hey, Brian. Hello, Parker. Just let you know, I'm 60 years old. I'm a veteran Army medic, and I listen to your show. I don't comment much on your streams. Every now and then I will. My tagline is U.S. Army Combat Medic, and I as a younger person, I admire you for what you're doing. I really do, and I see and notice a lot of callers are right around your same age as yourself, which is a good thing because you're relating to them and you're showing them the facts. And one of your better shows was when you had the friend of E. Jean Carroll actually started turning around a woman who had called in that didn't believe that Trump was guilty of sexually abusing her because she couldn't comprehend it. And your friend and yourself turned her around and said, well, I got to go deeper. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. But I do have one criticism, a positive criticism. The one thing I would like to mention is that your show's great, but I do notice that sometimes when the politics starts getting back to the 60s and the early 70s, you're not really bringing out everything. For instance, when a guy started ranting, I started following politics when Reagan. Right then and there, you should have said, well, Reagan, who started borrowing money from Social Security, who supplied arms to Osama bin Laden with the Iran-Contra scandal and sent Colonel Oliver North to prison. And by the time the conversation was over or the interview, Reagan didn't even know his name.
Well, I will say this,
I don't remember.
In Parker's defense, he has a better idea of history than certainly I do. I was born in 1980. I'm very old. Parker was born 20 some odd years later, but go ahead, Parker.
Yeah, so obviously, like, that's definitely something that I, want to keep doing a deep dive on, is different points in history. Like, for example, I think what you might be referencing is the person recently bringing up Jimmy Carter, right? And I'm actually not as familiar with Jimmy Carter's presidency. In relation to Reagan, though, one of the points that was brought up recently on my lives was the fact that actually he had relatively like open border legislation relating to immigration, and actually was like actually had like visa programs and asylum programs. So I was just actually like arguing to someone, for example, like this is something that like they were arguing was good because like the old Republican Party, and then it was also implementing that. But I actually don't. I totally agree with the criticism that I need to totally look more into obviously those different points in U.S. history, and also bring those up in terms of debates because they would have been useful or effective, especially against people like Reagan.
Sure.
But in terms of E. Jean Carroll's niece in law specifically that I know, Amber is amazing. She came up on my live recently to debate a Trump supporter that was not believing that E. Jean Carroll was assaulted, and I think we convinced them near the very end. That's actually a video I posted recently on my page. But yeah, no, it was a great conversation. Amber is amazing. She's really good at convincing people, and also I think it also humanizes everything. That like there's someone in E. Jean Carroll's life that knows E. Jean Carroll, right? Because a lot of people have dehumanized E. Jean Carroll because it is the case that Donald Trump has spread so much delusional propagandistic messaging about her that like it's in some people's minds, almost they don't even see her like a person almost. And I think that's a really bad thing and a sad thing. And I'm really happy that that Amber humanizes E. Jean Carroll within that way.
Yeah, and I saw that as well. Parker, I feel like we could do this for like 10 hours with some of my listeners that love what you do. But you've been so generous with your time. I know you're a busy guy. I don't know, maybe once every couple months we can get you on. This has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I've loved what you've done on social media for such a long time, and I do appreciate you coming on the show. We have to get on the same Piers Morgan panel, and I promise you I'm going to make that happen. You and I have to get on the same panel and debate these mega buffoons. We got to do that.
Yeah, I'm honestly so down for that. It was great seeing you again. It was really cool. Like, again, I wanted to go over like sort of what you talked about in the very beginning of the stream is how we met. We met at a Vegas rally. Just randomly, he came up and talked to me. Actually, like us meeting each other is on my YouTube channel. I ended up posting that months later, because I didn't even know you could post videos like that on YouTube and they would do well at the time. I didn't even have a YouTube at that time. So yeah, you can go check that out on my channel as well if you want to see. And I'm pretty sure that Brian's also posted that here.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was wearing my green leprechaun Boston Celtics jersey, looking like Casper the Friendly Ghost, I don't have much of a tan, but that was a lot of fun meeting you guys, and I love what you guys do. Please keep up the great work, and love to do this again down the road. I know you're busy, but thank you so much for all the time and taking calls. You didn't have to do that, and I really appreciate it, Parker. And keep up the great work, my friend.
For sure. Have a fantastic night, everyone, or fantastic day. I apologize.
Thanks, Parker. Good to see you, my friend. There you go, everybody. Parker Pinnell is his name, known as Parker Get a Job. I'm a big fan of his and what he does. Extremely intelligent. That's not a guy. If you're not up to speed on the news, that is not a guy you want to debate. He will get you. And he is a fighter, and he is awesome. And he's in his early 20s. And I'm like, when I was in my early 20s, I didn't know how to tie my own shoe. Some could argue I still don't. That's why I'm wearing sandals today. But we love Parker, and we really do appreciate him coming on and taking calls. Listen, for the people that are still on hold, we'll still take your calls on the other side. Just sit tight. But here's what we are going to do. We are going to cover the breaking news that the Wall Street Journal has just reported. The Wall Street Journal has just reported, and this is a big deal, that Donald Trump, dating back to May, was told that he is in the Epstein files, and he is named multiple times in the Epstein files. They told Donald Trump back in May. Donald Trump has already said that he plans on suing Murdoch in the Wall Street Journal. I can't imagine that they would put this information out there unless it was actually factual. This is a big deal. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard.
1.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Boy, do we have a lot of breaking news to share with you right now. It seems like everything explodes during this program. We thank Parker for coming on, by the way. So kind to give us his time. But there's a lot of new information that is out now, and we're learning that the U.S. Attorney General told Trump that his name is among many in the Epstein files. We're also learning, according to the Wall Street Journal, that back in May, Pam Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. The official also said that many other high-profile figures were also named, Donald Trump was told. This is not surprising to me. I've been telling you guys this for months. I've been telling you guys this for years, that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files, and all these MAGA buffoons out there, all of you who were saying Joe Biden is the pedophile, all of you out there that were saying, all you people on the left, the elite Hollywoods, they're the pedophiles, they're the ones in the Epstein files. Well, guess what? Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, and he could sue me too, because that is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting, and that he was told back in May that he was in the Epstein files, and that's why he doesn't want to talk about it. That's why he doesn't want to release it. That is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting, and I guarantee you it is factually accurate. I guarantee you. The Justice Department told Donald Trump in May that his name is among many others. By the way, I want all those other people held to account too. Never have I ever said we should protect anybody in the Epstein files. I don't care whether it's Donald Trump or Bill Clinton. I don't know if Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files, but guess what? We know Donald Trump is. This story is not going away. I will not let it go away. You shouldn't let it go away. And now Donald Trump is exposed. That is what we have learned, ladies and gentlemen. I told you this was going to happen. There is no escaping it. Pam Bondi knows it. Dan Bongino knows it. Kash Patel knows it. Everybody in Donald Trump's administration knows it, and everybody in the MAGA world knows it now. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. We will never probably see those documents so long as Donald Trump is president. He doesn't want you to see the documents. Now the question is not whether he's in the files. We know he's in the files. Now the question is, what did he do? Did he have sexual relations with young girls? Wouldn't be surprised. Was he recruiting young girls? Wouldn't be surprised. Was he and Jeffrey Epstein having sexcapades with underage girls? Wouldn't be surprised. Now we have to see what's in the files. The question is not, is he in the files? The question is, what did he do with Jeffrey Epstein now? We know he's in the files. But all you MAGA bastards out there want to say that everybody on the left, they're the pedophiles. You voted for a pedophile. You voted for the guy that's in the Epstein files. You voted for the guy who was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. You voted for the guy. His own members of his administration promised the Epstein files would be released. We knew. Why did they release the MLK files the other day? Why are they trying to deflect? Because they don't want you to know the truth, which is Donald Trump, his name is among many in the Epstein files. Period. And the U.S. Attorney General told Donald Trump that back in May. He is all over the Epstein files. I told you that this was going to happen. And now we have to get your reaction to it, because this shouldn't surprise any of you. It certainly doesn't surprise me, according to this reporting. I have a feeling that Donald Trump might drop his lawsuit with the Wall Street Journal, because I have a feeling they have a lot more pertinent information that they can release. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, according to the Wall Street Journal, and it gets worse because Donald Trump was notified about this back in May by the U.S. Attorney General. Do you remember when Donald Trump was asked, hey, you had that meeting with Pam Bondi? That was the meeting where Pam Bondi told him. That was the meeting. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. How does that make you MAGA buffoons feel? You support and you voted for a guy who's in the Epstein files. You guys talk about child trafficking. And now we've learned the House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed Ghislaine Maxwell. She has been subpoenaed. Maxwell wants a pardon. I can't imagine she's going to be spilling the beans on Donald Trump. But what we know now, and I will stand by this from the Wall Street Journal's reporting, is that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. And for all you people out there that voted for Donald Trump, I ask you this question. How do you feel about your vote now? How do you feel? Of course, we do know that a federal judge in Florida has denied the DOJ's request to unseal grand jury materials. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. The grand jury materials is a nothing burger. It's less than 1% of what's in the files. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files multiple times. According to the Wall Street Journal, he was told about this in May. Donald Trump will never get these files released, not under his watch. But you get a Democrat that wins the presidency in 2028, we're going to learn the truth, and we are going to know what we already know, is that all of you idiots out there that voted for Donald Trump, you voted for a pedophile. You voted for a guy who's in the Epstein files. That's why he won't release all of them, period. And this grand jury testimony is less than 1% of what is actually in the files. Donald Trump is in these files. And not only is Donald Trump an adjudicated rapist, but I personally believe that Donald Trump has also had sex with minors. And maybe that's something he has in common with Matt Gaetz and the reason why he wanted Matt Gaetz to become the Attorney General. It's all starting to make sense now, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It's all starting to make sense. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, because I want your reaction to this. And if you're a MAGA supporter or somebody who voted for Donald Trump, how does that make you feel to know that Donald Trump is now in the Epstein files? How does that make you feel? You voted for a pedophile. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Brian. Brian is next up here on PTL. Hey, Brian, what's going on?
How you doing, Brian?
Hey.
It's your friend from Texas. Hey, listen, man. I'm just going to be real with you. I don't care. You're telling me something. I mean, not that you're saying it, but I'm saying I don't care as a black man because we already knew this. We knew this already. It just sounds so beautiful. It's like music to my ears when you say it the way you do, because nobody says it like you do. But I already knew all this. But anyway, what I was talking about was yesterday, you had an idiot. Normally, I don't give two craps about these idiots in the chat. But there was somebody in the chat yesterday that was giving Darlene a hard time. And I hope she's somewhere on hold, waiting to talk. I just want to let her know we've got her back. Mm-hmm. You know, this fool that has a TFS so bad, he ain't talk. All he does is talk. If he a talking contest, he'd win hands down. It's always the ones that do all this talking, but don't have the cojones to show their real face on the profile. It's always a picture, a cartoon, something stationary. We don't give them no play. We don't give them no play because I know if they were in my face, they wouldn't say nothing. 6'6", 340, U.S. Army veteran, they wouldn't say nothing to me in my face. So, like you say, all they are just keyboard gangsters. That's all you do. So just keep on tapping, puppet. Keep tap dancing, puppet.
Yep. I agree with everything you just said, my friend. I understand what you mean by I don't care because you know who Donald Trump is already. I understand what you're trying to say, but certainly I care because now it proves what I said on the Piers Morgan show. It proves what I've been saying on this show for years. It proves what I said on my last show. I said that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. I've been saying it for years, and people were calling me a liar. People were saying Joe Biden's the pedophile. It's the liberals that are the pedophiles. I've been saying this for years. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, and now it's come to fruition, ladies and gentlemen. Geez, I wonder if Donald Trump is going to deny this too. I'm sure he will. Release the files. Release the files. 702-221-7283, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Your reaction to this. Let's go to Josh. Josh is next up on PTL. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Brian, what's going on? First, I watch every day. Love you.
Thank you.
I love the Buffalo Sabres picture behind you because that's my team, unfortunately. So I have a few points I want to make. One is a little off topic a little bit, and then two on the Epstein files.
Sure.
First one, I want to ask, how come every time Trump or a lot of Republicans, anytime they mention Obama's name, why do they always have his middle name when they mention him? Every time. They don't do that with anybody else.
Well, I can tell you this.
They do that with Obama.
I can tell you this. I'll even take it a step further. The only reason why Tulsi Gabbard and the Trump administration is trying to talk about Obamagate is to try to get people to stop talking about Epstein It ain't happening, ladies and gentlemen. It ain't happening. You can call him Barack Hussein Obama until the cows come home. Barack Obama is nowhere near the Epstein files. Donald Trump is.
And also, to me, it's incredibly racist. It just riles their base up because, Hussein. Oh, Saddam Hussein. It just riles their base up. My next point is, you said I didn't read the article, but you said that they had a meeting in May. And remember when Musk tweeted out Trump is in the Epstein files? Well, who do you think was in that meeting?
Very
Elon
true.
Musk was more than definitely probably in that meeting.
You made such a good point there. Elon
Yep,
Musk,
and
by the way, let's give Elon Musk a little bit of credit. I don't like Elon Musk personally. I don't think he's a good guy. However, it appears as though Elon Musk was telling the truth. And I said this on the Piers Morgan show. If Elon Musk wasn't telling the truth, then why didn't Donald Trump threaten to sue him? That led me to believe Elon Musk was right. Elon Musk was obviously in one of those meetings, or he might have overheard something from a Pam Bondi or a Kash Patel or anybody like that. Elon Musk was right. Yeah. The Wall Street Journal is not lying. They're not just making this up. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, period. We know this now beyond the shadow of a doubt. Now, it'll be interesting to see how Donald Trump responds to this. Now, he'll probably deny it, but if he denies it, then the next question is release all the files. Why don't you release all the files? Now, here's what's good about this. They knew in the last administration that he was in there. My question would probably be, why didn't, Joe Biden release it? And, the answer could be, hey, there might be a lot of prominent Democrats that are in there as well. I say the hell with them. Release the files. We want to know exactly what Donald Trump did if he's in these files. We want to know exactly what he did. And I want to know for certainty, because I believe that he's a pedophile. The way he talks about his daughter is enough for me to realize that. But all of you people out there that voted for Donald Trump, you voted for a pedophile. You call Democrats pedophiles. You call Hollywood elitist pedophiles. Joe Biden's a pedophile because he sniffs hair. You guys voted for the guy that's in the Epstein file. How are you going to defend that?
Brian, I got one more point.
Yep.
Do you think this could be a proponent of capitalism by any chance? Because capitalism makes the richer more rich, and the rich and powerful, they do the more unspeakable acts, which is why we also need to get money out of politics, because people with power are the ones usually doing these kind of vile acts.
Yeah, no, that's a good point that you make. I can't think, though, of a more vile act, my friend, than molesting a child, having sex with somebody that's underage. It's becoming more and more evident to me that that's who Donald Trump is. And the DOJ, what we're learning, has told Donald Trump his name is among many in the Epstein files. A federal judge has denied the DOJ's bid to unseal the Epstein transcripts. This is breaking news. We've just learned it when we had Parker on, and this is a bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, but not a surprise. I've been telling you guys this for years, that he was a part of the Epstein files, and so many of you MAGA turds were calling me the liar. You were saying Joe Biden was the pedophile. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next up on PTL. Hey, Steve, what's going on?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Hi, loving this. Remember when Hillary was running, it was drip, drip, drip. He was so tickled to death to share a little bit.
Yep.
Oh, now we're getting drip, drip, drip with Trump. I call him Taco, but...
Well, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. It's not drip, drip, drip. It's worse than that, because we know for certainty now that he is in the Epstein files. And we also know that his name has been mentioned several times. We also know that he was told back in May. That's why he's been acting so irrational the last couple weeks. It's why Pam Bondi and Donald Trump won't be releasing, any pertinent information that they claim is pertinent, in the Epstein files. And Donald Trump can deflect all he wants to, but here's the good news. Way before the Trump administration, there are many people within our government that knew that he was in there. So if they lie, people are going to come forward and say they're lying. So that's the good news. This isn't something, you know what I mean? This isn't something that was just new that came up in the Trump administration. The prior administration, people had to have known this for years after the Maxwell trial, that Trump was all over.
Oh, we've known this for a long time. It's just that it's coming out slowly, and it's killing them. I hope it does.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you something, my friend. I got to give Elon Musk credit where credit is due, because Elon's the one who really got the ball rolling here. I got to give him credit. As much as I don't like Elon Musk personally, I think he's a terrible dad and I think he's a bad guy. We have to give him credit for this. And I cannot wait to see what Elon Musk tweets out if he hasn't tweeted something out already, because this just proves that he was not lying. Now, he also said that Steve Bannon is in there, so maybe we'll learn about that as well, but we have to give Elon some credit where credit is due. He hasn't tweeted about this yet. I would imagine eventually he will. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. In about 15 minutes, we'll get to the YouTube Super Chat. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Brian, how you doing, man?
Good.
What a shocker, huh? What a shocker.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Everyone, not only is he in the files, he's worse than Epstein. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone knows this. And another thing, he's going to get away with it. You watch. They'll, just like that MAGA Mike Johnson, they took a month off now, they're going to get away with this bullshit. They'll find a scheme. They'll do whatever they do. They're gutless-ass Republicans. I'm telling you straight up, man, they're going to get away with it.
Let me be very clear on this, my friend. Anybody who voted for Donald Trump voted for not only an adjudicated rapist, but in my estimation, a pedophile. He's in the Epstein files. But they want to talk about immigration, and they want to talk about tariffs, and they don't like the Democrat policies. You literally voted for a pedophile rapist. How do they defend this? How do Republicans on Capitol Hill defend this? I think, look, okay, so listen. I know that there's a percentage of MAGA that are still going to be in support of Donald Trump, but I got to be honest with you, and I'm going to say this for the first time. This could be the start of the end for MAGA. This could be the start of the end. It could be.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it could be.
I wouldn't count on it, though. But I'm going to tell you, the people that follow him, they know what he is.
Absolutely.
They got the same, listen, they got the same black souls as him, and he just does their dirty work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with it, my friend. Very well said, and I appreciate the call. We are reacting to the breaking news. We're taking phone calls. The DOJ told Trump back in May that he was among many that are in the Epstein files. Apparently, he is listed in the Epstein files multiple times. He was told back in May, and this all happens while there is a subpoena for Maxwell. The problem we have here is Maxwell is looking for a pardon. Maxwell is looking for a sentence reduction. So I can't expect Maxwell is going to spread the beans. But what we know for sure now, and yes, I do believe the Wall Street Journal, Donald Trump's already threatened to sue them. I think that he's going to probably be dropping that lawsuit. I think him threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal didn't help him any. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Your reaction to this breaking news that we just have learned here in the last hour. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hey, Dave.
Hey, can you hear me, Brian?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Thank you. This question I had for you was actually more for Parker because I've been on hold and I didn't know he had to go. So I guess I'll just ask the question to you. You know, with Parker being as popular as he is and being the age that he is, and him and Dean and Harry and everyone, you know, being young and upcoming, like, I guess you'd call them Democrat superstars. And this is, again, more for Parker, but in your estimation, do you really think that those kids are actually going to be able to draw in all the young male voters that the Democrats lost last year in the election?
So I'm not Parker, so I'm not going to answer that question. That would be more
to speak for him.
That would be. I don't know. I don't speak for Parker, but you speak for yourself. So I think, and I can try to answer that. But I think a more pertinent question that I would like you to answer is: you're somebody that voted for Donald Trump. Do you regret your vote now? Now, assuming this reporting is factually accurate, which I have no doubt that it is, that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, will you admit that maybe you shouldn't have voted for him? Or does that not bother you?
Well, if he's in the report, then yeah, I would regret voting for him. But can you respectfully answer the question that I asked you?
I will, but I think this is kind of more important than your Parker question.
Why can't you just answer the question based on I just asked you? You can just answer very simply.
Ask the question again. I will answer it if you're willing to. If you're willing to answer some questions of mine as well. Fair enough.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead. Ask it again. Go ahead.
Absolutely. My point is last year the Democrats lost a ton of young male voters. They even openly recognized it, and they started to campaign and put a ton of money into trying to get them back.
Yeah.
My question to you is, do you think guys like Parker, Dean, Harry, and all those kids are actually going to appeal to regular voters who aren't necessarily Republican or Democrat, but just voters? Do you actually think that those kids are going to draw in people who...
Well, first of all, the millions of followers that they have are not all people under the age of 30. In fact, you just listen to people that call into this show, some they're 50s, 60s, and 70s that love what Parker does. So that's proof right there. I would say absolutely 100% the answer is yes. There weren't enough people that were that prominent maybe even a year ago. Yes, I think the more young people like Parker and Adam Mockler, who does this show a lot, who just recently signed a deal with Midas Touch. Beasley is another one that I think is doing a really good job. The more younger people like the Parkers of the world that are getting more involved with the huge platform that they have, yes, I do think they will appeal to people, not just younger people, but older people as well. There's a lot of my listeners. I have a pretty good audience. I don't have Parker's audience, but I have a pretty good audience, as you know, Dave. And a lot of the people that...
Mostly liberals.
I wouldn't say mostly liberals. I would say mostly people who are anti-Trump, like me. I don't do a survey of are you liberal. There are some MAGA people that call in as well. But you're asking me whether they're liberal or not doesn't matter. You're asking me will they appeal to an older audience? They already are. I mean,
no, I didn't say older audience. I'm saying the younger male, primarily male audience, because as you know, a lot of young males are shifting right, and a lot of young females are shifting left.
Yeah, I understand, Dave. That. I understand what you're saying, Dave. That's the way I would answer that.
I'm not asking you a gotcha question. I'm asking
I don't think
sincerely.
it is. I'm sincerely giving you an answer. I don't think that's a gotcha question. I would say the answer is yes, and I certainly gave you my reasons why. Okay, Dave. So I answered your question best I could. And listen, when Parker comes back on the show, you're welcome to call back and you could ask him that yourself, because I believe Parker will come back on. But Dave,
I did, and I wanted to pick his brain. I
understand.
Really
you'll have the opportunity to do that. I promise you that, because I can tell you Parker will come back on sometime down the road. So Dave, you and I both know the Wall Street Journal is not going to put this out and lie. It would totally ruin their credit. And by the way, this is not a liberal publication. Donald Trump has already threatened to sue them. You know, Murdoch is not a stupid guy. Okay. They have the information that Donald Trump was told back in May that the DOJ told him that multiple times he is in the Epstein files. Now, assuming that that's true, let's just assume that that's true. I think that's a very fair assumption. Are you willing right now on this show to say, geez, as much as I'm not a Democrat and as much as I didn't support Kamala Harris, I probably made a mistake voting for the guy that's in the Epstein files. Are you willing to admit that now, Dave?
On the assumption that it's true, sure.
Do you think there's a chance that the Wall Street Journal is just lying about this and this is totally fabricated? You really believe that?
Well, first of all, I haven't read this because you said it just came out.
It's on every. Dave, I understand. It's on every single publication right now, even Fox News.
I can't speak to it because I haven't looked at it.
Okay, well, you don't have to speak to it. I'm telling you right now what the reporting is from the Wall Street Journal. I'm telling you word for word based on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, every outlet that's reporting on this, that the DOJ told Donald Trump that his name is among many in the Epstein files. His name is mentioned multiple times, and they told him back in May. Are you willing to admit that you probably made a mistake voting for this guy? He's in the Epstein files, Dave. Come on, man. Come on, dude.
I just told you, if he's in the Epstein files, then yes.
What do you think of the chances that this story is fake? That the Wall Street Journal just made up a story?
I'm not saying the story is fake. What I'm saying is I haven't read it, and I'm not just going to take your word that it says exactly what it says.
All right. Okay. Well, it's not my word. I'm literally reading verbatim from every news publication, including Fox News. So if that is true, Dave, are you going to admit that you shouldn't have voted for this guy?
Well, yes, I just said yes, good. If it's true.
Okay.
Now, so again, show me the evidence. And again, I don't mean to keep saying the same thing, but respectfully, I haven't read it yet, so I really can't speak to it.
Okay. Well,
to the Wall Street Journal article.
Go ahead and turn on the TV. It's on every single national news network. It is a huge story. The Wall Street Journal put out this article saying that the DOJ told Donald Trump that he's in the files back in May. If the Wall Street Journal, hypothetically speaking, which I don't believe they are, but if this was a made-up story and a lie, the Wall Street Journal would no longer exist. There is a reason why when Elon Musk went on Twitter that Donald Trump was all over the Epstein files, Donald Trump didn't threaten to sue Elon Musk. In fact, he didn't even respond to it. You know why, Dave? Because it's true. Also, the reason why Donald Trump has been trying to deflect, and for the last couple of weeks, he said he doesn't want to talk about the Epstein stuff. He talked about sugarcane and Coca-Cola. He talked about Obamagate, which is a farce. He's talked about everything and anything, including releasing the Martin Luther King Jr. Files this week. There's a reason for that, Dave, and I think you know the reason. He has been deflecting. He doesn't want anybody talking about the Epstein files because he had something to hide. And what he had to hide was he's all over the Epstein files. This was his former best friend. He's been on the flight log 6 times. And I'm sorry to say this, Dave, but I'm just going to say it. You voted for a pedophile. You voted for a guy who probably had sex with underage girls. You voted for a guy who's in the Epstein
you
files,
can't
Dave.
prove he's a pedophile. You don't have any actual evidence of him performing a
actually,
sex
I
act with
do.
a minor.
Actually, you don't have
Really?
to be
What's the
labeled.
evidence?
Hold on. You don't have to be labeled a pedophile to have physical sex with a minor. You know what my definition of a pedophile is? Someone who brags about going into teenage locker rooms looking at young teenage girls naked. That is the definition of a pedophile. He did it on the Howard Stern show. You knew about it, and you still voted for him.
Wait a second. Is that the definition, or is that Brian's definition of what a pedophile
so
is?
somebody who is, let me ask you a question then, since you don't think that's a pedophile.
No,
let me ask you, no. I want to ask you a question. Somebody who is sexually bragging about looking at a bunch of 14 and 15-year-old girls undressing naked without their permission. Now, you tell me, what would you label that as?
Well, I mean, again, I'd have to see actual
You would have to see actual evidence. Donald Trump admitted to doing that on the Howard Stern show. Stop it with you'd have to actually see evidence.
And I have yet to see any young girls come out and say, yes.
There have been 3 girls. There have been 3 women. You could look this up yourself. It's funny how you don't know what I'm
Women?
talking. Yeah,
Women?
really. Look it up. You can Google it.
Women.
There have been
You're talking about
multiple
women or
women. There have been. Now they're women, dude. They were teenagers back
okay,
then.
So you're saying they were
have-
girls then? Well,
yes.
you'd have to tell me the age, and you'd also, and again, then formal charges should be filed, and for whatever reason they haven't been, likely because there's no significant evidence. I'm not saying he's not in the files. I'm saying just show me
Donald
significant
Trump.
evidence.
Would you say it's significant evidence when Donald Trump admitted to going into a teenage girl's locker room on the Howard Stern show and bragged about it sexually? You don't think that's evidence? Was Donald Trump just lying? By the way, there are multiple women who have come forward that said when they were younger in this pageant, he went in there without their permission and they felt very uncomfortable. I'm not sure what more evidence you need. Why do you continue to defend this guy who's in the Epstein files?
I'll explain. Because accusing someone of being a pedophile is one of the most, intense accusations.
What would you say about all the people who called Joe Biden a pedophile?
I would say that there was no evidence to substantiate that.
Yeah,
and
well,
they were
guess
dead
what? We
wrong.
have evidence to substantiate the fact that Donald Trump is a pedophile. He bragged about looking
you
at
don't.
Yes, I do. He bragged about.
Well, if there
yes,
was
I
enough
do.
evidence, you would have been charged.
Yes, I do. Years later, he bragged about it. Okay, you see, years later, he
But
bragged
wasn't
about
charged.
going.
Isn't that convenient? He wasn't charged because there's not a significant amount of evidence.
So if somebody isn't
Evidently,
charged,
it wasn't significant enough for him to get charged.
I see. So do you think Bill Cosby's a rapist?
I mean, I haven't really paid attention to it, but
You
I
haven't
do
paid
believe
attention.
so, yeah.
You do believe so. How many times has Bill Cosby been convicted of rape?
I don't know. I didn't.
You don't
really pay
know.
attention
You
to
don't
his
know.
case.
You didn't pay attention to it. Okay, I'm just proving the point that what you're saying has no credibility to what you're saying.
With Bill, what do you mean no credibility? I didn't follow Bill Cosby. What does that have to do with anything?
Okay, well, guess what? Just because Bill Cosby wasn't convicted for 100 or 200 rapes doesn't mean he's not a rapist. And just because Donald Trump wasn't convicted of having sex with underage girls doesn't mean he's not a pedophile, Dave. You keep making excuses, and you keep saying, well, I didn't read that. Oh,
It's
I
not
didn't
an
know about
excuse.
that.
I'm saying show me significant
Donald Trump,
evidence. If the evidence was
why won't Donald
significant
Trump?
enough, they would have tried him.
Why won't Donald Trump release the Epstein files? Why do you think that is, Dave? Use your brain for a moment. Why has he been deflecting for the last 2 weeks? Why do you think that is, Dave?
Well, it's pretty obvious because him and a ton of people are likely in it.
There
But
you
again,
go.
Until you can prove it.
So
Now
Donald
prove it.
Trump is likely in it. I would agree with that based on the Wall Street Journal reporting. So would it likely be the case then that you made a mistake voting for this guy since you believe
If he's
likely
proven to be in it.
Right. Okay.
You
okay.
keep saying that if he's proven
Right.
to
Well,
be
I'm
in
sure.
it.
Well, listen, Dave. I'm sure the Wall Street Journal is lying. I'm sure everybody else is lying. I guess we're going to play some audio for you. I don't know what audio it is, but I guess we're going to be playing some audio for you right now because Donald Trump. I guess what. Okay. Last week, there's an audio clip of him talking about the meeting he had with Pam Bondi. Here's what he had to say about it. I guess. Well.
The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein. On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you? What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, these files were made up by Comey They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
Yeah, but apparently what's not credible is the fact that he's in the files. Did you see the way he answered that question? That should have told you alone that he has a lot to hide. Okay, he's in the Epstein files. He was briefed on it. He was told back in May by the DOJ, according to the Wall Street Journal reporting. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Leon. Leon is next up on PTL. Hey, Leon, what's going on?
Oh, man, Brian, just listening to that guy raised my blood pressure up. I mean, the MAGAs are in such denial. They're not going to call your show today because they know, they always knew that he was in the files, but they know that it has been confirmed. I mean, I would have been surprised if he wasn't named in the files, to be honest with you. But looking at everything that he's done, the totality of his life has always been some type of criminal activity. The pictures with a pedophile, a convicted pedophile, should have said everything. And one thing I will say is my mom always told me, you are who your friends are. You show me your friends and I will show you who you are. He's hung out with a pedophile. Therefore, he is a pedophile. And the report confirms it. Like you said, Brian, you wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't having sex with underage kids.
Absolutely. I well said, my friend. And I completely agree with you. It's going to be so much fun to watch the MAGA base that have supported him try to curl themselves into a pretzel to try to do everything they can to make sure that these files are never released. Releasing grand jury testimony is less than 1%. He is in the Epstein files, and the Mike Johnsons of the world and everybody else, they're going to call the Wall Street Journal, the reporting, lying, then release the files. But they will not do that. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, according to the Wall Street Journal, and we're also learning that the DOJ told them about this back in May. He's not mentioned once. He's not mentioned twice. He's mentioned at least 3 times in the Jeffrey Epstein files, among many other powerful people. And whoever those powerful people are, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, I don't care. Donald Trump's been lying to us. What a shocker. We knew that he was in the files. He was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. We knew this. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Rebecca. Rebecca next on PTL. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good.
A quick suggestion and then a comment about the Epstein stuff. Is it possible for you to keep a clip of Trump making those comments to Howard Stern, so when these idiots call and say, well, I never read it, I never saw it, you can go bam and play the clip?
Yeah, well, they play stupid.
Second of all, Second of all, did you hear that Roy Black, who was Epstein's lawyer, he died suddenly last night?
He died at the age of 80, and while I am not a conspiracy theorist, I do find that interesting timing. But yes, I do know that. I also find it interesting that the prosecutors on the Epstein trial with Maxwell were recently just fired as well. This is a massive cover-up at the highest possible proportions. We know that's why Donald Trump's behavior has been so bizarre over the last couple weeks, and he called some of his own supporters stupid. You guys are all suckers. Now, I knew you were all suckers way before this came out. You voted for a pedophile. You voted for a guy who's actually in the Epstein files. And you guys have been saying for years, the Clintons and the Democrats and George Soros and all these people on the left are pedophiles. Meanwhile, you're the same idiots who voted for the guy that's actually in the Epstein files. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Let's see, who are we going to next here? Why don't we go to Kevin, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Kevin is next on PTL. Hey, Kevin, what's going on, man?
Good afternoon, Brian. How are you today?
Hey, good.
What's taking my call?
Sure.
I'm gonna politely disagree with you in a way, and I think David kind of showed it best. I think what's happening right now, and again, this is my personal theory, the maggots are so. They're shown the light now. They've shown the fact that he's not going to end the war. He's shown the fact that Putin actually stood up to him. He's not owned by Putin. or people who own food. I think they're starting to see that he's got a lot of cracks in his foundation, and they need an out. They talk about a lot of people want to see the reports, to include a lot of Republicans are getting calls into their offices. I think one of them that David Lawler said he had over 500 calls, and only 3 of them were about something else other than Epstein. All people want to see this. I think that they want to see it so they have the reason to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, because if they don't, right now, they're still drinking it. They're still sucking it down, and they don't care because they have to.
Can you imagine? Let me just bring this point up here. There is absolutely 0% chance that the Wall Street Journal is lying with this reporting, that it's fabricated. I say 0%. And the reason why I say that is because they know it would be the end of the Wall Street Journal if it wasn't true. Donald Trump would take them to court, and then there'd be discovery, and they would show that the Epstein files show that Trump's in it. So he's not going to sue them for this. I guarantee you he's not going to sue them for anything. Right. And the Wall Street Journal, listen, I can't believe I'm saying this. I give Rupert Murdoch credit. I give him credit. As much as I don't like the guy, and I think he's been very bad for the country, I give him credit here because they had the stones to put this story out.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons. I think he wants a reason to stop liking the guy. He's defended him for a long time. Now the Fox people are starting to turn a little bit. Yep. His Newsmax people are starting to turn a little bit.
This was calculated.
Need a flat out reason.
I think this was calculated. I think they had this story weeks ago, and I think they're putting it out little by little. I think they put out the story to begin with Jeffrey Epstein. And then they said, okay, in a couple weeks, we're going to release this information. I don't think they're done. I think Rupert Murdoch has more information. I really do.
Well, when you said to David, if you found out he was a pedophile, would you have regretted your vote? He said, yes, I would have.
Right.
That's what his base is looking for. They're looking for the reason to go, I need to get away from this guy. We're not in economic bliss. We're still struggling. Tariffs are coming in stronger and stronger. We're starting to see the effects of this. They're starting to see the effects of this. Farmers are starting to see the effects of this. We've seen so many reports of people going, this is not what I voted for.
Yeah.
This reason, because you can't say, I support the Trump, even though he's a pedophile, I support him. Because if you do, then you're really just a bad human being.
Yeah. I mean,
that's my theory.
The White House is trying to do everything they can to pivot away from this Epstein story. Today's new information from the Wall Street Journal is not going to help. This Obamagate nonsense is an absolute joke. That's what it is. It's a joke. And they're trying to deflect from the fact that they probably knew that this story was going to come out. Let's go to Elroy. Elroy is next up on PTL. What's up, Elroy?
Oh, yeah, Brian. Have you ever heard of the cult of Baal?
I'm sorry, the cult of what?
Of Baal. B-A-A-L.
I have not.
Well, you see, the thing is, with all this Epstein stuff, it's rooted deep within the esoteric traditions of ritual sex magic.
Okay, well, I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about. I'll be honest with you. I don't. We're talking about Donald Trump today. That's the big story. So
he's in the cult, sir.
Well, I'm sure Donald Trump is in the cult of pedophiles. I certainly don't disagree with you on that, sir. But
the cult of Baal.
Okay, well, I don't know what that is. All I'm telling you is that Donald Trump has a cult of followers. Are you a Trump supporter?
I'd rather have Trump than Kamala Harris.
Okay, good. That's what I thought, sir. So let's talk a little bit about that. So we're learning that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. We're learning that there is a very strong possibility that Donald Trump molested young children. Even with that information being put out there today, you're still telling me you're happy with your vote, with voting for an adjudicated rapist and most likely a pedophile over Kamala Harris. Tell me why you feel that way, sir.
Because, sir, in the long run, it's better for America.
So in the long run, it's better for America to have a rapist and a child predator. Is that what? That's a very intelligent.
His policies are better for America in the long run, sir. Yes.
What policies? What policies are better for America?
AI policy.
What? What policy? What policy?
The AI policy, the crypto policy.
Well, so you don't care if someone's a rapist or a pedophile. You like his crypto policies. That makes a lot of sense. As long as he's a rapist and a pedophile, you're totally okay with that because you like his crypto policy.
Sir, and you don't know
is
these
that correct,
young
sir?
girls,
Is that correct, sir?
When they're around someone that powerful, They're
Oh,
to
so
their
it's
knees.
their
They're
fault.
Like, oh my
You
gosh, Donald Trump.
you despicable turd piece of human crap. You're gonna make excuses for Donald Trump possibly raping children, and your reasoning behind it and your excuses is, well, you know, he was a celebrity. Do you realize what a piece of human scum you sound like? If some celebrity, do you even have a daughter? Do you have kids, sir? Do you have any kids at all?
Do you realize that?
Yeah, answer my question. Answer my question. Do you have any kids, sir?
The rich
Do you have any kids, dumbass? Hey, dumbass, answer my question, or the phone call's over.
And they love.
Okay, so if you have a 12-year-old, hey, shut up and listen, you despicable turd, you. You poor excuse for a human being. You're not. If you had a 12 or a 13-year-old daughter, because I can't imagine any woman would want to have sex with you to begin with, but let's just say, hypothetically speaking, a miracle happened and a woman was willing to have sex with you. Let's just say you have a 13-year-old daughter and Donald Trump raped her. Would you say to your daughter, well, you know, you shouldn't have done it because he was a celebrity? Is that what you would say to your daughter, you despicable turd, you?
You didn't say anything about rape, sir.
Get the hell off my show. You are just an embarrassment to human beings. You are so sick, you are. You still would be okay with Donald Trump being a rapist and being a pedophile because, geez, you like that crypto policy he has. You stupid idiot. You are despicable. Don't even call back to the show again. You're so dumb. Oh, my God. These people are sick. They're so lost and they're so gone. They are sick human beings. They are despicable. That guy is despicable. And even knowing that Donald Trump probably raped kids, his excuse, well, you know what? Some of these kids, they look up to them like they're celebrities, as if that makes it okay and it's not Donald Trump's fault. You despicable piece of human garbage, you. You're trash. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Trisha. Trisha's next on PTL. What's up, Trisha?
Hi. I called you yesterday, but I got cut off too early before I asked a very major question to you. First of all, you talked about not having any hair. I wanted to remind you how sexy you, Brenna, was without any hair. So let me get that out of the way. So, okay, you could still be very sexy. Anyway, my main question, which I didn't get to ask yesterday, Brian, was why was this not brought out before the election? No one's talking about that, and I want to know.
Here's what I think. I think there are also people on the left that are trying to protect people. I believe there's a lot of prominent people on the right in the files. I believe there's a lot of prominent people on the left. People are going to be exposed. Again, I can't imagine it's only Donald Trump and prominent people on the right. There's got to be some people on the left. And you know what? I say, release it all. Release it all. I don't care if you have an R or a D next to your name. Release it all. That's why I think this hasn't been released to this point. Expose every single one of them. I don't care whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. Let's go to Eddie. Eddie is next up on PTL. Hello, Eddie. Eddie, are you there? Eddie must have been a MAGA supporter who wanted to defend Donald Trump and then thought twice about it. Let's go to Jack. Jack is next up on PTL. Hey, Jack, what's going on, man?
Yes, I was listening to the show, and I totally agree with you. I think everything should come out because I think there's a whole bunch of pedophiles in Washington on both sides.
Yep.
There's all kinds of people went to that island and had sex with underage girls.
Yep.
Dershowitz, David Copperfield. There's all kinds. Bill Clinton. You could just name them all. There's tons of perverts and pedophiles in Washington, and I think we should expose them all and take the whole government down.
I don't disagree with you, but I got to tell you something. Every single MAGA supporter now who voted for Donald Trump that still supports him supports pedophiles. Let's just call it for what it is. I believe that Bill Clinton might be on the list as well. I wouldn't vote for Bill Clinton. Okay, I think he's done some horrible things in his life. But Bill Clinton is not the president of the United States anymore. It doesn't mean I don't want those people held to account if they are in the files. The guy who happens to be the president of the United States right now is in the Epstein files. And anybody who still supports him, I mean, I would have said this yesterday, and I have, but anybody right now who still supports this guy, who thinks they did the right thing by voting for this guy, supports pedophiles. You support child rapists. That's who you are.
Oh, yeah, Donald Trump, he's a pedophile. He probably had sex with 10-year-old girls.
Wouldn't
He's a
surprise
sick,
me. This is
sick
the same.
man.
Wouldn't surprise me, my friend. This is the same guy who said the one thing he has in common with his daughter Ivanka Trump is sex. This is the same guy who sexualized his daughter, called her voluptuous, and said if she wasn't my daughter, I would date her. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's see. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Courtney. Courtney's next on PTL. Hi, Courtney.
Hey, Brian. It's Courtney from Brooklyn.
Hey, Courtney.
Hi.
What's up?
I just think that I agree with you that anybody that doesn't see through this now is insane because there's just too much evidence at this point. And the fact that they told him he was all up in the files and he's been hiding them, this is a mess and stupid at this point. I do feel I've been calling all of the people on the oversight committee today, though, on the Democratic side, because we cannot let the Justice Department go in and go see Maxwell without some Democrats present. They're just going to either threaten her life or offer her a pardon to lie about him not being in there.
Yeah, I agree. And this is
very dangerous.
This is a mega story. John Bolton is now speaking on CNN, who used to work for Donald Trump and is responding to this. This story is not going to go away. It's only going to get bigger. I cannot wait until Caroline Leavitt has to do another press conference. Maybe Donald Trump won't be holding any press conferences in the next 24 hours. You know they're going to lie. They know they're going to deflect. But I'm telling you right now, there is no hiding. And to see so many of these MAGA Republicans that are going to be curling into a pretzel like they always do, it's sickening to me. It's sickening to me that the entire...
And it's Obama crazy.
Yeah, that's...
This crazy about Obama.
Well, that Obamagate was only nothing but a deflection and a bunch of lies. But I'm very curious to find out, even the people that have been so supportive of Donald Trump and the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who call lefties pedophiles every day, I wonder what they're going to say about this. The Wall Street Journal's lying. You see, they can't say that because there are people that have worked for the government way before Trump got there that know what are in these files. So they can't continue to lie. I suppose they can, but they have egg on their face. If you still support Donald Trump today, you support pedophiles. That's what you do. You support pedophiles.
Exactly.
Thank you for the call, my dear. Good to hear from you. 702-221-7283. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hey, Ray, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I haven't called in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have a good time listening to you and the MAGA morons that call in. They're all the same. They either lie or use diversion tactics. And I'm tired of butting heads with my neighbors with this. But that's the way it is. I told my wife many years ago when Trump first ran for president, says he's putting himself in the public eye and everything he did bad is going to come out. If he wanted to keep all this undercover, he should have stayed right where he was.
But isn't it so obvious, my friend? Look at the behavior of Donald Trump over the last few weeks, calling many in his base stupid if they even bring up the Epstein stuff. We knew that was bizarre behavior. We knew he had something to hide. It's so predictable. We have a pedophile who's the president of the United States. We know he's in the Epstein files. Now, I've been telling you he's been in there for years, and so many of you MAGA buffoons said that I was wrong. 702-221-7283. You voted for a pedophile. Let's go to Jerry. Jerry is next up on PTL. Hey, Jerry, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good.
Good. I got a question for you. There is now, first of all, this Wall Street Journal story is damning. This, before today it was speculation. Now it's, we're looking at for real. This is the boom. This is the mic drop. This is it.
Yeah,
he's in the files. He's a pedophile.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to run.
For you.
I don't know how they're going to run away from this one. I mean, what excuses could they
I
make?
know.
Oh, the Wall Street Journal, they're lying. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they are. I mean, what can they do here?
Well, they can't do anything except lie about it, which is what Trump's been doing for years.
Yeah, and then the Wall Street Journal should sue Donald Trump. That's what they should do.
Yeah. Oh, that would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
The other day, I was on YouTube and watched a video that was kind of interesting, and I don't know what to make of it. It was the supposedly the leaked Katie Johnson deposition when she was trying to sue Donald Trump, and it's only a partial deposition, but if it's true, this is damning as well. She gives specifics about what happened.
Listen, it's damning to everybody in the Republican base. Donald Trump has hijacked the party, and the person that has hijacked the party is the person that's in the Epstein files, and they've all been defending it. And I got to tell you, people like Thomas Massie, I got to give him credit because he's been pushing the issue. I got to give some people credit that I'm not very fond of, people like Elon Musk. I wonder what Laura Loomer is going to say today. She's been blaming Pam Bondi. When is she going to put blame on Donald Trump? 702-221-7283. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Gilbert. Gilbert is next up on PTL. Hey, Gilbert.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good.
I had a quick question. Where's Ivanka in all this? Where's she at?
Where's who? Oh, Ivanka. She's been remaining, it's a good question. She's been remaining very quiet with Jared Kushner. They have distanced themselves from this administration. But, yeah, I would love to know what his family members are saying behind closed doors. Remember, it was Don Jr. that was tweeting nonstop about the Epstein files. It was J.D. Vance that was talking about it not that long ago. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, they were talking about the Epstein files nonstop. Now, all of a sudden, they want the story to go away. Geez, maybe this is why, because Donald Trump's all over the Epstein files. 702-221-7283. Let's get back to the calls. Let's go to Frank. Frank is next up on PTL. Hey, Frank, what's going on?
Thank you, Brian, for taking my call.
Sure.
He's in, I believe that when the story came out years ago,
yeah,
I believe he was a pedophile and he was involved. And yesterday, I was listening to you when Mark called in and got on about Nicole.
Yeah.
I was irate. And I don't blame you for being irate with that man. He is so ignorant. He makes stupid people look smart.
That's Donald Trump's base, isn't it? Isn't it, my friend? Donald Trump's base are people that are very stupid, and any powerful woman that's attractive, they're scared of, they see as a threat, especially a woman of color. Thank you for the call, my friend. Again, covering the breaking news that it appears as though Donald Trump is absolutely in the Epstein files multiple times. Joe Walsh, who's a friend of the show. Maybe we'll try to have him on again tomorrow if we could get back to what Joe Walsh just said, because I can't. Joe Walsh, that's okay. We'll get back to it. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Joe Walsh said, I've gotten pretty much the same from most Trump supporters these past few hours, and I'm looking at the Trump supporters saying, Joey did a 180 so hard, the Lolita Express had to recalculate its flight plan, and talking about Joey Manorino, who happens to be a far-right Trump supporter, making excuses about the Epstein files. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. He said being in the Epstein. All right, being in the Epstein files does not mean you're a pedophile. Joey Manorino, a right-wing turd, is now apparently saying just because you're in the Epstein files, you're not a pedophile. I mean, absolutely absurd. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. That's going to be the new MAGA excuse. Just because you're in the Epstein files, it doesn't mean you're a pedophile. Let's go to James. James is next. What's up, James?
Yeah, hi. There's, outside of Trump and all this hysteria, there's one big thing that everybody's missing is the cover-up for the European Union and the Crown. And those are directly involved in that side, in which actually our direct number one ally is direct influence to our entire administration and elections to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to know is where's Harriet Fraud, Dr. Harriet Fraud? She has the receipts on all of it.
Well, she might. I think that's a really good point, my friend. By the way, and thank you for the call. I have to get to the YouTube Super Chat because we haven't done that yet. And I know there's a lot of people that want their questions and comments to be heard. We're also following, of course, the breaking news, which is that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files multiple times, according to the Wall Street Journal. Lori says, Parker, sorry about your dog Dozer. We lost our dog Chico a few years ago. He was 19. Thank you, Lori, for that. We certainly appreciate that. Again, the breaking news, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Donald Trump has been in the Epstein files at least several times, and he was told back in May. Lori says, Brian, I need everyone to watch a Mehdi Hassan debate with the far right this last weekend. It's scary. I actually saw it yesterday. We want to get Mehdi Hassan on the show, hopefully sooner than later, to talk about that. I actually have someone that was a part of that group that might be coming in studio on Friday. We're working on that. Alexa says, I will be voting Democrats in the midterms in everybody vote and never stop voting for humanity. Completely agree with that, Alexa. 150% on that one. Thank you very much. In the super chat, Chicago Rob says, GOP used Trump as the useful idiot, do all their dirty work, then toss him aside for the religious right to take over and force their will on America. I agree with you, Chicago. You're right on the ball. Kathy says, Brian, let's call what happened to those underage girls what it really is. Child rape, period. Kathy, I agree with you. The instructor says this is why Trump pushed for a presidential immunity. There you go, instructor. I think you're onto something. Maybe that is why Donald Trump wanted immunity, because he knew that he was in the Epstein files. Shelley says, Brian, we knew that Trump was in the Epstein files, but this is just confirmation. Trump must remember discovery. Well, I hope that it goes to court and the Wall Street Journal gets the opportunity for discovery, because eventually the Epstein files will be put out there. Amir says, I hope you all listening do not show any empathy to MAGA when they eventually implode over this. They made their bed and tripled down and went with the cult mentality. Don't excuse them at all. Amir, I completely agree with you 150%. We cannot excuse all these people that voted for Donald Trump. And today, if they still support him, they are sick and they support pedophiles. Let's go to Pat. Pat is next on PTL. What's up, Pat?
Hey, Brian. I cannot believe maggots are still saying, show me the proof. Show me the proof.
Yeah.
If their child had been raped, what proof would they have besides the child telling them?
Yeah. That's what you're going to hear from these people. That's what you're going to hear.
Yeah, they like still in another world. Well, there's no proof. Where there's no proof. That is just absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, the guy was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. They hung out
Right.
together all the time. And then we're supposed
Just
to be...
like the guy said, what you hang around is what you become.
Yeah, you are who you hang out with is the saying. That
Exactly.
You are absolutely right, my dear. You are who you hang out with. Donald Trump
Exactly.
was once best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and I appreciate your phone call, and you are 150.
Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing, Brian.
Thank you. I appreciate that. More reporting that we are learning is FBI Director Kash Patel has privately told over government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files. That is according to Will Sommer, a prominent person who went on his social media platform that apparently, according to the Bulwark, that they're also reporting it, that and the Wall Street Journal reporting it as well, that that FBI Director Kash Patel privately has said to people within the administration and people around him that they knew that Donald Trump was all over the Epstein files. So, folks, this story is not going away. It's not going away. We're going to continue to cover it tomorrow. I'm going to continue to be working hard for you and covering it throughout the day. I'm going to try to get in touch with Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, to try to get him on the show again tomorrow to get his reaction to this. But again, just to backtrack and take a breath here, because this is a very, very big story. And it's something that I already figured would be true. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the DOJ already told Donald Trump back in May that he is in the Epstein files, not once but twice, but at least 3 times. We're also learning that Kash Patel knew about this, and he's told people in his inner circle. We are learning that basically most people in Donald Trump's administration and in his orbit knew that he was in the Epstein files. That is why he has been deflecting. That is why he called all of his supporters stupid if they bring up the Epstein files, because he's in them. And I told you guys this for years, and for you MAGA idiots out there that want to make excuses for him, they will continue to do so, and we will continue to call them out because they have zero credibility, and they voted for an adjudicated rapist and a pedophile. You remember that. My thanks, by the way, to Parker, who joined us. Wow, breaking news when Parker joined us. This is crazy stuff. We appreciate Parker for being here. Left-wing popular podcaster Ryan Shedd will be joining us on the show tomorrow. You know he's going to have a lot to talk about. And Leonard Cardinale will be in studio as well. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to talk about here, too. We are going to try to get the best guest and the best coverage we have on this story. We run an independently owned radio show. The best thing you can do for us is donate, whether it be the YouTube Super Chat or on my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live. You can make donations on there, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. It'll take a few minutes of your time, and we also sell merchandise on there. We appreciate your support. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, everybody. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find